Jerusalem Connection Red Alert report for June 9. College cancers? Over the past 3 weeks, we had discussions with 2 experts on the growing issue of anti-Semitism in the U.S. and worldwide, while the ongoing hostilities occurred in Israel with over 4,000 rockets being shot from Gaza towards those Israeli civilian populations. Israel retaliated with 1,500 surgical strikes against military targets, including warnings for civilians beforehand to clear out. As we can expect, the college campus atmosphere reflects a so-called discussion on what's been happening in the Middle East. Clearly, in the college setting, one would expect that world events be topics of conversation and concern for college students seeking to learn about the world, with a faculty we entrust with teaching our younger people to gather valid data, research history and context, critically think through problems, and formulate just solutions. This is where I want to focus our attention for today. Western college campuses and universities and the renowned reputations that many achieved over decades, if not centuries, of devout study, intellectually honest and hard work ethics, and are all starting to erode these coattails of trustworthiness as faculty and student bodies disguise history's oldest hatred in a cloak of wokeism and false marketing, a line of some concern for human rights for all identity groups. And what were once healthy and robust institutes of learning, study, and achievement for society are being eaten away by a cancer of hate, lies, and sinister agendas. Intersectionality, where anti-Semitism is bleeding into every cause and doing so under the guise of being part of some benevolent progressivism. Anti-Semitism is known as anti-Zionism, and it is targeting the Jewish nation of Israel and by default Jewish individuals and communities outside Israel, all with false allegations of white supremacy, genocide, and ethnic cleansing, colonialism, and occupation. These same buzzwords also get assigned to America. Maybe that's because America and Israel has so much in common. How is this manifesting, though, on college campuses, even as they are poised to break for summer? Just a few examples from many. In Canada this spring, Apartheid Week went on in full force and blanketed Canadian campuses with anti-Israel campaigns, including outright lies. A case in point, medical apartheid, a fallacy claiming that Israel was distributing the COVID vaccine based on ethnicity. This is a lie. All citizens, regardless of ethnicity, were eligible for the vaccine, and all literature was distributed in both Hebrew and Arabic. As of June 4th, only 4 cases of COVID even existed in Israel. Moreover, it was not the job of the Israelis to vaccinate the Palestinians, just like it's not the job of France to vaccinate the Swiss or America to vaccinate the Canadians. However, Israel still provided thousands of doses of vaccine and the personnel to administer them to the PA who refused to take it. Rutgers University in New Jersey, their Chancellor Christopher Malloy, during the hostilities last month, made a public statement condemning the rise of anti-Semitism on U.S. soil, and then had to retract that statement, apologizing for implying that the concern for anti-Semitism in the U.S. somehow endorses anti-Palestinianism, and then went on to condemn Islamophobia. This is certainly not the biggest problem in the U.S. at the moment. Rutgers Palestinians were offended about the condemnation of anti-Semitic attacks. At Michigan State University, the student body voted to condemn Israel for its participation in recent hostilities, its own self-defense. And at the University of Toronto, a recently appointed medical doctor to an educational role had a petition circulated for her dismissal, as many anti-Semitic posts were found on her social media sites. At the University of Minnesota, a professor of Jewish studies actually had to resign because the department's anti-Zionism stance and silence on anti-Semitism as a whole was overwhelming. The University of Chicago's student body issued and published a public statement, including on social media sites, quote, "We stand with the ideology of Zionism that has been used as justification for the murder, displacement, and traumatization of Palestinian people." The statement went on, "From the river to the sea, the USG supports Palestine that is free." Unquote. This was published on Shabbat during a time when there was an uptick of violence already occurring on and near the University of Chicago campus. The student body is considering a retraction after pushback from several Jewish campus organizations and certain members of the student body who said the original statement was actually released without any authorization. None of these examples even touch on the actual curriculum and textbooks being used in programs of studies for things like international relations, Jewish studies, Middle East studies, and many more, many of which are erroneous in their assertions and bias against Israel as a whole. I personally have seen these texts at university, and I've taught from them, excluding those portions that in such classes as World Civ. In good news, Fordham University, a Jesuit college, officially banned a pro-BDS group on campus, and Toronto's mayor is not only condemning anti-Semitism, but is also calling for its study to be part of the public school curriculum, the exact opposite of what's going on with the United States critical race theory curriculum. In the battle is in the weeds, my friends, and the devil himself lies in the details. Little things like words and statements and social media posts result in Jewish diners on a street corner being assaulted, Jewish cemeteries being vandalized, Jewish communities being targeted with rockets, and Jewish communities being condemned for even protecting themselves. And eventually we will have a repeat of 1930s Germany, where Jews and any dissenting voice to the mainstream drumbeat, a drumbeat fueled by lies, propaganda, and the illusion of your best interests, leaves us all in danger of extermination. An extermination by a society that will not have any remorse and later claim they didn't even know about it. Please stay vigilant, armed with the truth and evidence, and ever prayerful. Shavua Tov, and have a great week.